going, y'all? Welcome back to another YouTube video, and today we're taking a look at another film review, and today we're taking a look at The Purge, which is supposed to be a horror movie, and is one of the more sort of, creepier horror movies in my opinion, because if you've been a fan of the channel for a while, you will know that I find movies scarier the more realistic they are. So for example, with Freddy Krueger entering your dreams and attacking you, I don't find that very scary because that's not very realistic. Sure, the jump scares may get me, but it isn't like that scary, it's not that threatening. Compared to people going on a killing spree. People going on the killing spree and taking and doing whatever the fuck they want in a purge feels way more realistic than Jason Voorhees. Because of the way of the world right now, this kind of feels like it's literally right around the corner. So, you know, this is quite a scary sort of situation, and one which I would not like to find myself in. So without any further delay, let's get into what Google has to say. So The Purge came out in 2013 and is an action horror which is 1 hour and 25 minutes. It is a 5.7 out of 10 on IMDb, a 40% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 2.7 out of 5 on Letterboxd. But that doesn't stop it from, you know, getting 6 other movies. You can watch this on Google Play and Amazon Prime, and it is about James Sandrin and his family, and they retire for the night in their home gated in California. An intruder causes trouble and lands them in a purge, a 12-hour period when criminal activities are legalized. So how this movie actually starts is with our main guy. He's there selling sort of purge-proof houses, purge-proof sort of walls, windows, and sort of locks, so people can't break into your house and you'll be completely safe. So he locks himself inside his house before the purge starts, and, you know, there is an intruder in his house. Someone broke into his house, and he undoes all these mechanisms and lets in the next-door neighbors. And the next-door neighbors are quite angry at the family because the dad wouldn't give them, like, you know, discounts or free purge-proof stuff, because obviously it's like, hey, I thought we were friends, thought we were mates, and you're just gonna leave us to die out there in this purge. This is scary, what the fuck, so we're coming after you to get revenge on you. They then manage to survive, the family survive, and the neighbors don't. Some of them do, some of them don't, and the guy that intruded in the house, I do believe, turns on them, and you know, he's fighting alongside them, which is quite strange. And he was being hunted down to begin with by a couple of other people, you know, in the purge. There was like a gang who was hunting him down, and that's why he decided to hide in their house. And yeah, he then causes a lot of problems for them. So if they just kept their shutters shut and just stayed peaceful, stayed alone, they would have been fine. That's pretty much the movie. It is a very basic, very simple plot, but it does lead into a lot of questions, a lot of theories, and a lot of interest into this world, because it's like, all crime is legalized for 12 hours. This gives me a lot of questions. Like, if you stab someone, right, at like the 11:58:59 mark, and they die at like the 12:02 mark, does that class as you murdering them because you still stabbed them, but they died after the time? If you, like, was stealing something, you was in the store grabbing a load of stuff at like 11:58, 11:59, and you left at like 12:02, does that still class as stealing because you was, you know, you was picking it all up during the purge, but you left after the purge finished? There's a load of questions, a load of technicalities which I don't think is fully thought through throughout the purge or this sort of movie franchise, and I would like answers to all my questions, because it's like, if all crime is legal, right, and the police, like, department is shut down, the fire department is shut down, and like the hospital is shut down, that's a fucking lot of cleanup after the purge. I feel like the purge is more costly than actually helping the US citizens, because they're destroying property, they're destroying this, destroying that, destroying the other, and it's like, hey, you're destroying all this property. That's going to be very expensive to fix, and it's just kind of stupid. I don't know. I don't get how people can be this excited to go out and purge. Fair enough, go out and steal shit. You know what? That's fair. Like if they went to big Tesco's and stole shit from there, or like big Asda, that's fair, I guess, if all crime is legal. There is like a cap though to like morality and like, you know, morals with like killing people or like burning shit and sort of just destroying shit for the sake of doing it. There's like a moral ground to it, but you will get those like crazy psychos who will just want to cause as much chaos as possible, and this is their time to do so. And in this movie you do hear people like planning for like months on what they're gonna do on the Purge, so it's more of like a sport, like an event, like a holiday celebration. And I just imagine it would cause loads of inconvenience, because if like someone died in the Purge and they were needed for like a meeting the next day, like you got bigger things on your mind in the Purge, but still, like it causes a lot of last minute problems and last minute issues. But to be fair, if you did live in a world where there was a Purge, you would not put any meetings, any important business sort of ideas for like a good few weeks after the Purge, because obviously you don't know who's going to survive, you don't know who's going to die, there is no guarantee in that Purge. So the whole concept behind it is quite interesting. It's quite an exciting sort of idea, and something that is pretty interesting to explore. And they got 6 more movies to explore it, so you know we should be good. But it is still a very strange movie, and I'm going to be taking a look at all the Purges that I can. I think there's like 6 or 7 of them, which I think is way too fucking many for like the Purge, or like a franchise called the Purge. I just think it's way too many movies. The acting is decent, but the motives behind the villains, it's like, seriously, you spent this entire night, this one Purge, hunting down and gunning for this one guy, and you waste like what, 6 hours trying to kill him? It's like, you know, Purge is a Purge, they come every year. Like, if you don't get him this year, get him next year. It's like, you have, I don't know, it kind of feels like there's quite a few plot holes, quite a few couple of issues, and the next door neighbors coming into their house and sort of trying to kill them. It's like, dog, you managed to survive what, this long in the Purge, like a good like 10-11 hours of the Purge. Why do you need revenge? Like you obviously didn't need these shutters, you obviously didn't need these like specialized doors or specialized windows, because like you're alive still, you're here, you're still around. It's like, if you're gonna like be angry at them, at least be angry at them for a decent reason. Fair enough, they didn't give you the shutters, yeah, but you're still alive. You still made it through the Purge. You still aren't dead. So that's like a big old Billy bonus. That's a good sort of aspect to still have. That's a good sort of, you know, thing that's happened to you. You're still alive. But yeah, it is quite odd. It is quite odd. The plot to the movie and the camera angles, you know, they use some horror tropes with like using like the characters entering from the background into the foreground, showing us things that the characters can't see, or like showing us an empty background and expecting us to see something there, or using sort of certain camera angles where we can't actually see a whole lot outside of like the characters' peripherals, so we don't get to see the whole picture. We get to see a couple of like little sneak peeks, a couple of like little footsteps walking around, a couple of like ankle shots, a couple of like you know, foreground sort of walking through the corridor to sort of build suspense, build tension. And to be fair, I did shit myself watching this. I was very scared. I was on edge, because it's like, shit, anyone could break into a house. Crime doesn't have to be legal for someone to break into a house. Like, that shit is quite common. So, you know, it did put me on edge. It did make me a little bit scared and a little bit more aware of situations that could happen, a little bit more aware of dangerous scenarios which could happen. And I didn't like that. I did not like that at all. they did win, and that's the main thing. They survived the night, and they continued with their life the next day. They just continued like nothing happened. But I do believe the Purge would cause like a lot of trauma, a lot of therapy needed, and a lot of issues with like families and stuff. Like having that shit happen to you, you're gonna need like a good couple of weeks to recover, a good couple of weeks to sort of digest what the fuck happened. You was held captive, you was tortured, you saw people die in front of you, people try to break into your house. That shit's scary and that shit scars you. So it's like the Purge has caused more damage than it's supposed to fix, and I just didn't get it. I just didn't get the whole premise of the movie. Like, I just sat there having more questions than answers, and maybe these questions that I have will get answered in future Purge films, and if they do, you know what? Exciting. But for the start of a franchise, I think it is a pretty weak starter. It does get you asking more questions, so you get more interest into the franchise, but it doesn't sort of get you invested into these characters that you want to see more of their lives. And that's what I think the Purge franchise does. It gives you new families, new sort of people, new scenarios every time to sort of follow along with, to give you more answers. And I don't know, I feel like this is a pretty weak opener, and I probably wouldn't watch this movie again. It's not like a particularly like horror film. It's kind of more like an action thriller movie, and I've said that quite a lot with horror movies lately that I've been reviewing, but it's just the truth. I am going to give it like a 5 out of 10 because it is quite mid in like everything that it does.